Laura.
And Arnie.
With Crazy Cool Cakes, and today we're coming to you with another awesome and quick tutorial on how to create this beautiful skirt look on your cakes. It's very easy to do, very fun to do, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay guys, so the first thing I'm gonna do is measure my cake so that I can figure out how wide I need to roll out my fondant. So this iced cake was 8 inches before I iced it, so now that I've added some icing to it, I know it's a little bit wider. So the top of my cake is approximately 8.5 inches wide. Then I'm going to see how far down I want this skirt to hang, and I'd like it to come down right about here. So about 3.5 inches. So I know I need to roll out fondant that'll give me 8.5 on the top and 3.5 all the way around. So I simply add 8.5 inches and 3.5 times 2 is 7. So 8.5 plus 7, baby?
It's 15.5.
15.5. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I know I'll need to roll out fondant that's at least 15.5 inches wide, but I'm going to roll it out a little bit thicker just so that I can cut a huge circle all the way around and give myself a nice circular cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Alright guys, so now I have my piece of fondant rolled out that I know is a lot wider than what I'm going to use. And I'm going to take something that is more or less the measurement of the top of my cake. So I know my cake is 8.5 inches wide. So I'm going to just place this cake dummy that's 8 inches wide right in the middle of the piece of fondant. And I remember, yes, you know that the top of my cake is 8.5 inches. So I'm going to give myself a little bit extra room all the way around, and I want my fondant to drop down 3.5 inches. So I've got a smaller ruler here, and all I'm going to do is place my ruler, okay? And remember, I'm giving myself a little bit more space because my cake is 8.5 inches and not 8. And I have a sharp tool. You can use anything, a needle tool or anything that's sharp. And at 3.5 inches, or actually a little bit outside of 3.5 inches, I'm going to just make a little tiny dot. And you probably can't see it because it's so little, but believe me, it's there, okay? So I'm just gonna go around and add a little more than 3.5, just make a little dot, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and do this all the way around, and this is to guide me for when I am cutting my large circle all around my cake. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Now that I have my little dots all the way around my cake, and again, you know, you may not be able to see them, but they are there. All I'm gonna do is just take anything, it can be anything, I'm just using the end of my brush, and I'm going to make a dot exactly in the center of my circle so that I'll know where I need to place that center on top of my cake. So there is about a little more than 15.5. Close to 16, so here is the 8-inch point. So I'm going to make a dot right there. So that little dot tells me that this dot should land right in the center of the top of my cake. And all I'm gonna do now is take my pizza cutter and I'm going to follow my dots all the way around and slice a big circle. And you wanna make your cut inside of your dots so that those dots are not visible on your fondant when you add it to your cake. And again, this skirt is gonna be kind of ruffled at the bottom, so if it's not an absolutely perfect circle, don't worry about it. Nobody's ever gonna know. Like Duff says, smoke and mirrors, baby, smoke and mirrors. Which, by the way, we're gonna go see Duff this weekend, so we're super excited about that.
Really excited.
So there's my imperfect circle. Do I care? No. But now it's perfect. And nobody is, how do they say it? None the wiser?
None the wiser.
None the wiser. That's my hubby, none the wiser. No, just kidding. This doesn't look exactly like a circle, so just chop that off. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring out my cake and show you guys how to apply this to your cake. Okay guys, so here is my 8-inch cake iced, and really the only place where I want the fondant to stick is gonna be on the top. So all I'm gonna do is just take a little bit of shortening in my hand, very little, just enough to make it sticky, and I'm just gonna smear it along the top. Okay, and very important to get the edges. And as you can see, I'm being nice and rough with my cake because I can, because it's rock hard cold straight out of the fridge. Okay, so nothing I do to it will harm my cake. Okay, I'm gonna take this glove off. And then remember, I added a dot to the center of my fondant, so I know exactly where that dot will go, right in the middle of my cake. And I'm simply placing it right in the center of my cake. And to me, that is close to being in the middle. Almost. There you go. Does that look like it's centered to you, baby?
Looks great.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm simply pressing this down with my fondant smoother. Okay, go over the edge with your finger. And you can see the natural pleats and ruffles that are created in the fondant as I'm doing this. Okay. So this is gonna look very, very cute once it's got little polka dots on it. Okay, and for added measure, if you would like, okay, I have a little container with water, and just to make these parts stick to the side of the cake, you don't have to, okay, this is not absolutely necessary, but some of you might want to. All you need to do is just take a tiny bit of water, and in between the pleats, you're going to just smear the back of the fondant and just press it down. And this is very quick. It doesn't really take much time to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. And then of course you can, with your fingers, you know, if you wanna adjust your pleats and your ruffles, you can. And that's how easy it is, guys, to give your cake tiers a nice little skirt look. And I hope you guys like it. Nice and simple. Cute little skirt on a mini cake. All right, guys, so let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for being a Crazy Cool subscriber, and we would love it if you guys can join us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.